King Charles actually took off his gloves to punish Meghan and Harry. Never before has a sovereign not invited one of their children to take part in one of Buckingham Palace's most important traditions. What sad future for Sussex. If there's one thing we could say for sure about the British royal family, it is that they love their traditions. For example, the late Queen absolutely adored her yearly rituals. She was always keeping up her Christmas decorations until February, and she would spend every single summer holiday in Scotland no matter what, where it rains at least about 250 days of the year. And then when June rolls around, there's another important tradition of the Buckingham Palace calendar, the fainting of the soldier. Every year at the sovereign's official birthday event, Trooping the Color, also known as the 260-year-old military parade, an event that results in thousands of soldiers and horses and musicians putting on an impressive display of precision marching, at least a few participants keel over because of the heat. Over the weekend, the practice run was held, and it's called the Colonel's Review. Now it's overseen by Prince William. But anyway, the usual happened. A few hardy members of the military fainted in the 30-degree heat. James Calford, age 18, the youngest soldier in the Welsh Guards, took part this year, and he told the Telegraph that it was like being stood in a sauna with a 200-kilogram dumbbell in your left hand. Next Saturday is when the actual event will take place, and it's very likely that a couple of members of the dozens of regiments taking part are going to succumb to the conditions. Well, except this year's event, King Charles's first as king, is going to mark a serious deviation from the norm, and a pretty depressing milestone indeed. It will be the first time that His Majesty's younger son and his daughter-in-law, and the number one cause of stress on the royal family, Harry and Meghan, are not welcome. Richard Eden, writing for the Daily Mail, revealed that Prince Harry and Meghan have not been invited to the King's birthday parade. It will be the first time in Harry's life that he has not been welcome at the monarch's official birthday celebrations. A source spoke with Eden, saying, "I'm afraid it's a reflection of the state of relations at the moment." For the first 35 years of Harry's life, taking his place on the Buckingham Palace balcony in the summer heat to wave at the public and enjoy the sound of the RAF fly past was something in his diary that was not going to change. In fact, Harry made his first appearance at Trooping before he had even had his first birthday. Now, the last time that Harry and Meghan participated in Trooping the Color was back in 2019, when they did their best to look like they were having a good time. And then came that very interesting time when we were all stuck at home making sourdough bread. And that year, trooping was reduced to a few soldiers doing a little bit of parading around the Windsor Castle grounds where the late Queen and Prince Philip spent their lockdown. And then 2022 came, and trooping was back and better than ever. People in London were celebrating, and Meghan and Harry flew back to the UK for the late Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations and her birthday parade. Now, at that time, they were no longer senior members of the royal family, so instead they joined the extended bunch of Windsors who watched the event from Major General's office at Horse Guards Parade. Somehow, Fleet Street photographers got a charming shot of Meghan and her $2,500 Stephen Jones, with a few of Princess Anne's granddaughters, too. Harry and Meghan were not allowed to join the family on the palace balcony afterwards, and now that's standard for non-official reps of the crown, but still, they participated. They were, as Her Late Majesty pointed out on more than one occasion, much-loved members of the family. But apparently everything has changed. Now, if Harry recently has been walking out to their California mailbox wondering where his invitation to his father's official birthday party might be, then it looks like he is in for a real disappointment. Since Her Late Majesty passed away in September of last year, it seems like Meghan and Harry's annual invitation to the Trooping the Color ceremony is going to be permanently lost in the mail. The way things are looking right now, it's difficult to see how they may ever make their way back into the royal good books, or for Meghan to ever require the assistance of some designer to make something beautiful for her to wear. Last week, as we all know, Harry entered the witness box in the London High Court, the first senior member of the royal family to do such a thing since 1891. An important moment that it sounds like nobody back at the palace was excited about. He was there, of course, to give evidence in his lawsuit against the MGN, alleging hacking and unlawful information gathering, and he came out with both guns blazing, labeling the UK government as being at rock bottom. Of course, the palace has not released any official statement about the situation, but we know they're not happy about it. It is pretty ironic, too, this unelected member of the royal family taking aim at the elected government of a country that he has actually spent about 1 month in out of the last 3.5 years. Now, obviously, ever since Meghan and Harry ran away to the US, self awareness is not something that Harry has picked up. Even if he had decided not to engage in that unnecessary political salvo, relations between Harry and his family are incredibly cold. And this rift does not seem likely to be breached anytime soon. Eden wrote in the Mail that Harry is said not to have spoken to his father or brother while he was there. There aren't even any reports that Harry saw them, even though he was staying at Meghan and Harry's old Windsor home, Frogmore Cottage, for the last time. He was only walking distance from William and Catherine, but it doesn't look like they spent any time together. And it doesn't like he or Charles undertook the roughly half-hour walk between the palace and the High Court. The king got back to London after his Romanian vacation. But even so, did he find any time to spend with Harry? I think we already know the answer. Now, obviously, the king and William have good reason to not want to see Harry. So is it any wonder then that there's this lack of outstretched hands and warm hugs, considering that Harry and Meghan have taken a family rift and proceeded to wring every single penny and iota of public sympathy out of it? When next weekend rolls around, when the 1,400 soldiers, the 200 horses, and the 400 musicians take to the mall, the remaining frontline members of the royal family are going to proceed onto the balcony for the business of gracing the people with their presence. The Wales family will be there, complete with their 3 beautiful children. Edward and Sophie, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, and their slightly blasé teens will be there, and 7 other card-carrying HRHs, who are all long past retirement age in the UK, their wrists certainly slathered in Voltaren gel, preparing for all that hand-waving. But not only will Meghan and Harry not be participating in any way, shape, or form on that day, but also their little ones, Prince Archie, 4 years old, and 2-year-old Princess Lilibet won't be there. In another world, one where Harry and Meghan decided to just stick with the business of being working royals, maybe Harry could finally have been made a royal colonel, and he would have actually been able to participate in the parade on horseback along with his brother. And in that other world, the king's youngest grandkids would now be taking their places in the palace balcony as well. If we go back to the adorable photos of a tiny little Harry on the palace balcony back in the 80s, you can see he was always surrounded by his loving cousins, and the late queen was always there, slightly sternly looking over the gaggle of young ones. And unfortunately, that's an image that we might never get to see repeated with the current bunch of tiny princes and princesses. The fact is, all of the grandchildren of His Majesty have never been photographed or appeared in public together. And with relations between the royal family and Meghan and Harry and Montecito as depressing as they are right now, we may never get to see that. I guess the separations of the cousins is another sad tradition that we can add to that. And don't be afraid to click the subscribe button to get more updates in the future. Thank you so much for tuning in, have a lovely weekend, and we'll be back to see you all tomorrow.